Hey, good morning, Mid-Missouri. It is Wednesday at 10 a.m. here, December 21st, first day of winter. How about that? Only fitting we have a winter weather alert day to talk about here on a live stream. So again, if you're joining us, you can watch us on our website, or if you have questions, I've got YouTube Live open. We're live on YouTube on our Facebook page. Just search ABC 17 News. You'll find us there, and I'll answer any questions you have. Otherwise, I'm just going to run through this and give you an overview and broad, but also some specific details of what we can expect this week. This is a live look at satellite and radar, at least as of 10 o'clock here to start the day. We've got snow well off to our north. A lot of cloud cover here locally, though. That cloud cover kind of pulling in here out of the southwest. It's a sign not only are winds at the aloft out of the southwest, but at the surface as well. They're turning more out of the south throughout the day. That's going to be ahead of this next wave that's moving in from the northwest. I know this doesn't look too impressive right now, but it does look a little bit better if you jump up to the upper layers of the atmosphere. Also, if you fast forward this here, maybe about 12 hours or so, we're looking at a big digging trough over the northern plains. That not only is going to drive our chance for snow early Thursday morning, but it's also going to fill in cold air on the back side. Take a look at this. This is surface air temperature, just an absolute polar express of a system here, pulling in some deep cold. We're talking single digits, sub-zero temperatures by late Thursday night, early Friday morning at the soonest, and then they stick around as we head into the weekend. So cold air is going to be a big part of this system. We've got a winter storm warning in effect area-wide. All of our counties, in fact, if you turn on ABC 17 News, you turn on ABC 17, you'll see our live stream, and it goes county by county. I'm just here to tell you all of our counties are in a winter storm warning from Thursday morning through Thursday night. That's the big focus for snow and wind. Now, we'll keep wind and cold beyond the winter storm. After the snow ends, the cold and the wind continues. So that's going to be a continued focus of the forecast, not only just Thursday night, but Friday, Saturday, and maybe even early Sunday morning. Thursday evening through Saturday morning at the moment is our wind chill warning. We'll watch to see if that extends any, but we're looking at a cold weekend, certainly a cold couple of days for travel, and that'll be a complication. We'll talk about that in a minute, but essentially what I'm tracking is Thursday snow, drifty snow, that may cause some travel hazards and some cold throughout the rest of the week here into the weekend. That's going to be dangerous and maybe pose some health risks. So that's essentially the forecast in a nutshell. To give you some perspective, today we're in the 30s for highs. We're in the 20s right now as I record this at 10 o'clock. So if you're watching live, wondering what I'm talking about, we'll be back in the 30s this afternoon, which is quite mild, cooler than normal, but mild compared to where we'll be tomorrow. Temperatures are falling off the chart, well below zero. I don't have the setting here set to zero, but we will see that in a second, how cold temperatures drop, and it's below zero. You take a look at these wind chills throughout the day on your Thursday, and even though we're in the teens and single digits throughout the late morning and early afternoon, we feel like 15 to 20 below throughout your midday hours there, and then heading into the dinner hour, temperatures there dropping just to zero by about 5 o'clock, and we're already feeling like 20 to 30 below in the wind. So wind is really the tricky feature in this entire system. If we had the snow without the wind, it wouldn't be as bad. If we had the cold without the wind, it wouldn't be as bad. It's the wind that really is complicating the forecast and just making it that much more unbearable. And it's part of the reason why we've got the weather alert day all the way through into Sunday morning. So here's arrival of the snow, 3 to 6 a.m. for folks to the north. We may see a few bands earlier. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. But overall, the best snowfall, 3 to 6 a.m. for folks in the far northwest, from Warsaw to Versailles, California, Colombia, Mexico, even as far to the southeast as Fulton, Jefferson City, and Osage Beach, in that 6 to 9 a.m. window. And then further towards the east, you see 9 a.m. to 12 a.m. throughout the rest of the morning. And then it starts to taper off. But if you're heading towards St. Louis, we're talking about snow during rush hour, so keep that in mind. But here locally, again, we get the bulk of the snow through late morning, early afternoon. Most of it's done by the dinner hour, but we keep a small chance for some snow a little bit longer, especially if you're in the east. Overall, on the very low end to very high end, we're looking at maybe 1 to 6 inches. Most of us will see in that 2 to 4 window, and we'll show you that in a minute as well. But blowing snow continues even after the snow stops. The wind making the snow worse. That's another case of that, essentially. If we had the snow and we didn't have the wind, we could say, all right, we're done with the snow, travel's going to improve because we're going to be able to clear the road and it's going to be fine. But it's not the case because, well, we've got winds that are likely to be sustained in that 20 to 30 mile per hour range while the snow's blowing. That'll reduce visibility, but even when it stops, that snow that's on the ground is going to blow and it's going to get picked up and it's going to reduce visibility. Not only that, but you may have some drifting over roadways, especially on those east to west roads that are perpendicular to your north wind, especially in rural areas. Maybe you find yourself near an open field. Those roadways that run east to west are going to be tricky. So here we are. This is Future Track. This live stream is not about today's forecast, but here it is in the mid 30s for highs under gray skies. And then tomorrow morning, early tomorrow, maybe close to midnight for some, we could see a little bit of rain, a little bit of snow out ahead of the front. That's been a constant feature here lately on some of the more high-res guidance, and that comes right along the front. Maybe about 3 o'clock for folks near Brunswick, Marshall, getting close to Columbia with this first round, maybe before sunrise. But again, I think that the better accumulations are going to be back towards the west as that next band moves through. I think this is where most of our accumulations come from. And this is not accumulation. I know this looks like maybe accumulation numbers. Those are temperatures. By 8 o'clock, we're already down into the single digits, and that's after we started in the 30s. So we might be below zero before lunchtime for a few of us, especially towards the west of Highway 63. Again, this is all point forecast and a certain model. We'll see that vary a little bit, but big cold is on the way for Thursday, not just snow. And that's going to be, again, one of the things that make it a little bit more miserable to be out if you're trying to travel on Thursday. Okay, so the snow moves to the east of Highway 63, likely sometime in the early afternoon. It's starting to pull out of mid-Missouri by the dinner hour, but just in time for rush hour. Look at where it is, St. Louis. If you're traveling to St. Louis, keep that in mind. It's going to be tricky throughout your Thursday. You might consider postponing that a day if you can. I know travel planning is not that easy. Okay, so let's talk Future Track precip. Again, we were talking about the snow, right? Snow moving in here. That leading band maybe arriving around 3 o'clock or so and maybe not being the biggest snow producer. Don't pay too much attention to the totals here. I'll have another map for that. What I want to illustrate is that next band kind of back behind. That's where the better snowfall rates will start to show up. So you may have some impacts in Columbia, maybe just before sunrise. But if you're trying to shuffle off to work, you want to get to where you need to get, you might have a little bit more time. I wouldn't bank on it. Maybe leave earlier if you can. But if you need to leave around 6, 7 a.m., well, okay, the better snowfall is coming later in the morning and then through the early afternoon. Again, don't pay attention to these numbers. I've got different numbers, but I want to give you an idea of what we're looking at based on the model run. This is what I think is more likely to happen. I think most of us are in that 2 to 4 inch range. If you're headed far south, maybe you're headed to Branson for Thursday, you're headed to Springfield, maybe you're traveling I-44 to Oklahoma. This is just for Missouri. We'll have more snow accumulations likely down along I-44 as you're headed towards Oklahoma, Tulsa area. Excuse me. But for Missouri, and more specifically here close to home, we look for our better totals north of I-44. I-44, we find ourselves in that 1 to 3 inch range. 2 to 4 inches, generally speaking, there's not a widespread, even from the 1 to 3 to 2 to 4. It's pretty uniform area wide, but we are making that distinction that 2 to 4, the chances for 2 to 4 are better to the north of I-44. But within that 2 to 4, it's pretty uniform. We're looking at potential for, we'll say, an isolated 5 inch total, but most of us fall in that maybe even 2 to 3 inch range, and I'll explain what I'm talking about. Within that 2 to 4 zone, there's about a 93% chance of an inch or more. That's pretty likely. 3/4 of folks may find themselves with 2 inches or more, as there's about a 75% chance within that zone of about 2 inches or more crossing that threshold. But crossing the 4 inch threshold is looking quite unlikely. We've got about a 20% chance of more than 4 inches. Not saying it's unlikely, and that would be maybe the isolated 5 that we were talking about, but you increase that to 8 inches or more, and it's not likely at all. About a 1% chance. For the statisticians out there, a little bit of fun for you. Otherwise, Thursday, the impacts are going to be greatest while the snow is falling and just after. We're looking at 20 to 30 mile per hour winds, gusting in that 40 to 50 mile per hour range, generally speaking, broadly speaking. And again, that's from the north. Keep that in mind. That's important because that's where the wind is going to blow the snow, is to the south and across those east to west roadways especially. But we're looking at high impacts from mainly visibility and also the driftiness of the snow. Again, 2 to 4 inches doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it's going to be a complication thanks to that wind. The wind's the big complicating factor. Future wind chills with that wind, as well as I mentioned temperatures and wind. If we didn't have the wind, the snow wouldn't be as bad and the temperatures wouldn't be as bad. Here are our wind chills as you're waking up Friday morning. 20 to 30 below. It's cold, and that sticks with us for most of the day, maybe teens to 20s. It's looking like a chilly one, dangerous wind chills for certain. And then here's Friday's travel. We were already talking about that last graphic you saw was Thursday. This is Friday. The snow's done falling. Computer here trying to render blowing snow. That should not be precipitation. The computer sees blowing snow and it wants to put that in there. Ignore that, but we're going to be dry. No additional snow is falling. What we're going to see is the snow on the ground blowing, and that's what we mean by blowing snow. So residual snow that's already fallen is going to be blowing around, likely from the north to the south, causing maybe a little bit of visibility issues, and again, those east to west roads, maybe a little bit of drifting there. And we hopefully should see that improve a little bit heading into Friday night, maybe into Saturday. But overall, things are getting pretty treacherous, would be a word for you. Deteriorating quickly Thursday morning. And then Thursday evening, if you don't have to get out, I wouldn't. Friday, I wouldn't get out, because if you do find yourself on the side of the road, you're talking some cold air, some cold wind chills. You're going to want to be in your car. Here's a look at what we're expecting for Thursday. Now, this is important to understand. 34 is not the afternoon temperature. That's the early morning temperature and likely our warmest temperature of the day. Those temperatures fall all day. Remember, I showed you near noon, we're probably close to zero, maybe sub-zero in the afternoon and evening. Our coldest wind chill values throughout the day, 20 to 30 degrees below. Same for Friday, with a high temperature near 5. So no temperature improvement hardly at all heading into the weekend. Maybe some on Saturday, but that's not really going to be noticeable as you walk out the door. It's going to be cold. So again, if you're traveling, I know a lot of us are holiday traveling. I know realistically everything on this list is great to have. I know a lot of us only pack the bare necessities. If you grab anything, make sure you've got blankets. Make sure your car is full of gas. Check your spare tire. Make sure it's still working. Okay, your phone charger, that's going to be great. If you do break down, you do get stuck on the side of the road, that's important to have. Again, we're not looking at impossible travel conditions, but the wind chill is going to kind of raise that factor of risk for you if you do get stuck or if you do get on the side of the road. Things can get dangerous pretty quickly. We're talking about wind chills that could create frostbite if you're out in that in less than 10 to 20 minutes. So that's something important. Okay, we've talked about all the serious stuff. Your Christmas weekend forecast looking somewhat warmer for Sunday. Temperatures back into the 20s. We're flirting with freezing for some folks. I think the better chance for that may come on Monday. But the good news for you, if you like a white Christmas or if you've been wanting a white Christmas, the snow that's here is going to stay into Sunday. I don't see it going anywhere unless it blows in this wind all the way out of the state. We're not seeing enough warmth to melt that snow. So we're going to likely keep snow on the ground for Christmas. Here's a look at Christmas Eve, for example. Temperatures down in the single digits. You're not melting a whole lot of snow like that. Okay, we're looking at here 7-day forecast. I'll leave that up for a second while I check questions. If you got questions, if you're just joining in, we've been doing this live stream now for about 10 minutes. Here's your 7-day forecast weather alert day from Thursday into Friday and Saturday. We will wrap that up on Sunday morning. Mainly the cold air Christmas Eve. I just showed it to you, the single digits, maybe down just below zero, I should say, just dipping potentially into sub-zero temperatures early Sunday morning. That's enough to be dangerous as you're heading out early Sunday. The wind should be dying down, but still that cold is hanging on. I know a lot of folks are going to be out traveling, so we've gone ahead and left that weather alert day there. Yeah, okay, so Jack says, do you know roughly how many inches of snow we could expect, or a range? Okay, so if you joined a little late, I have that graphic. Here it is. This is for the state of Missouri. We wanted to kind of fine tune here, so we kept our focus rather narrow. But in the south, from we'll say Branson over to Cape Girardeau, down over even down into the Boot Heel, Pemiscot County area, there's a potential for some snow. We'll start there, small end. Potential for some snow, not a guarantee that you'll see snow. Are more guarantees that we're going to see maybe, we'll say an inch or more, really kind of in this dark blue. That's where an inch is 93% chance that we'll see an inch or more. So likely that we're going to see accumulation. Our window has it at 2 to 4 inches. 2 inches, there's about a 75% chance of 2 inches or more in this blue area, roughly, give or take. Again, that's not going to be exact, but that is broadly kind of what we're looking at. And then that 1 to 3 inch, you kind of take your probabilities down there, and we're expecting in that 1 to 3 inch window. But yeah, that's roughly what we're looking at. If you want closer, maybe you're looking for a certain community. I'm going to go check chat again. But yeah, you're looking at communities like Columbia, Moberly, Macon, Mexico, Fulton, Jefferson City, as far south as Camden to Osage Beach, Vienna, being close to that 2 inch area. That's kind of what we're looking at. Does anyone have any other questions? If you're watching us on the live stream, you probably already have this, but I'm going to go ahead and leave it up. We're looking now at our ABC 17 Storm Track weather app. Go ahead and download that if you want to keep track of this storm as it rolls on in. Of course, you'll see all of our updates. You'll see all of our notifications when we go live, when we want to post a video. You can download it, of course, if you have iPhone or Android. Great stuff there. Any other questions before we hop off of here? Again, you can catch this on, I believe this is going to be re-streamed on our website, probably on our YouTube as well. You'll be able to find this later. So if you do have questions, I covered everything. You can go back through it, scroll through, find what you want. Overall, I think a lot of us are looking at that 2 to 4 inch mark, but it's not just the snow. We're talking about a lot of wind and cold air throughout the rest of the week. Here's your 7-day forecast one last time. You've got temperatures in the single digits on your Friday. That's your high. We're getting into the low teens maybe Saturday, but still just as cold. The winds are really going to complicate the snow Thursday and the cold air heading into the weekend. So be careful if you are traveling. Don't forget to pack that go bag. And of course, stay tuned. We will bring you updates as things change. Confidence is pretty high on snowfall amounts going forward, as we're kind of within 24 hours of this event. So tomorrow, if you are stuck at home, we will have the latest information for you. If you're trying to get out, if you're trying to travel, we will keep you up to date on our snowstorm arriving for Thursday. And I'll go ahead and leave you with that. Thank you for watching.